Hey, everybody. Nicole Sauce here from the Self Reliance Festival, and we are doing our Thursday night live. I feel like I'm short. Am I short? I mean, I know some people think I'm short, but anyway, I just wanted to take some time tonight to share with you. Well, first of all, if you're just joining this on John Willis's channel, and I know he's had a lot of new people in, we go live every night at 7 p.m. to talk about the Self Reliance Festival and the Great American Preparedness Tour, which starts the first spring event of that tour starts in 2 weeks. It's the Kentucky Sustainable Living Expo. And then we have the Self Reliance Festival. And then there's the Midwest Preparedness Project. And we're having a lot of fun just like putting all those things together. We had a great live stream last week with a whole bunch of people. Hello, Mr. Landfill and Mr. Greg. But Self Reliance Festival is coming fast. And sometimes like we get in the midst of it and I'm thinking like I'm so excited about the festival and all the people who are coming to speak and all the people who are like at this point we've done 7 of them and we have people who have been to every single one. And for us like it starts feeling like a family reunion basically. So that's kind of fun, but there's also an ecosystem that has been sparked around the festival. And Benjamin Brewer, welcome. Adam Smith, Dean Mullis, sorry, AJ, welcome. AJ's going to be at the festival. And Brian got his tickets right before the deadline. Woohoo! Yeah, I had this whole email thing going out, and I'm like, I don't like to spam people with email, but like there's a couple hours left, and then there's no hours left. So anyway, here's the thing. It's kind of turned into an ecosystem where people have started businesses who were at the first SRF and didn't have businesses, and then they did. And then now they are vendors at the Self Reliance Festival or sponsors of the Self Reliance Festival. And just hearing their stories and watching people grow and develop has been pretty cool. Also, our first Self Reliance Festival, I think we just did one day. I think it was just a Saturday. And then we did Saturday and a half day Sunday. And now we do 2 days. And now there are workshops before, there are workshops after. And I think people who come new to the festival sometimes are like, what in the world is going on? Well, we've developed this community and an ecosystem and people who support each other, doers who actually want to make positive change in their lives, get ready for whatever may be coming their way and, get to it. And it's a little bit different than a lot of other festivals in this space because of that solutions focus. And of course, the Three Sisters also have a solutions focus. Like all of the events are about like building positive forward momentum in your life, expanding your skills, changing your mindset, improving your financial situation, like all of these things, improving your health, all of these things that you can do to be more durable. And I like to give the example that when I moved to Tennessee, I had a car pulling a trailer, and that was it. I wasn't all that resilient at that time. And then I started my first little garden here, and I put some garlic in the ground, and it grew into multiple garlics. And so the next year that I lived in Tennessee, I didn't have to grow as much garlic. And that went on for a while until I moved to my 3.2 acre homestead. It's only 3.2 acres, guys. Like those of you who are like, I have to have 16 acres. No, you don't. I saw something right before the show. It was like, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And I was like, yeah, start where you are. I was in the city. Use what you have. I had a yard. I could plant garlic. Do what you can. I grew some of my garlic and made myself partially garlic resilient, right? When I moved here, I went all in and I have not bought garlic for over a decade. It's just, I harvest it, we use it, I replant it, it comes out the next year, I harvest it, I use it. I've sold garlic at the farmer's market. Like you can just chip away one thing at a time and you have I have a better culinary experience because I use the garlic that's grown here. It's delicious. Yeah, Dean Mills says garlic is the gateway drug. Homestead Medical is in the house. Homestead Medical. You want to hop on? I'll send you the link in email if you want to hop on. I've never pulled a trailer. You go, Nicole. Oh yeah. I have backed up trailers now too. And if you want to be amused, you just watch me back up a trailer. Here's the thing. I can back up a trailer. Can I back up a trailer well? Nah, not really. But sort of. I mean, I kind of understand. I mean, I do understand how it works, but sometimes I make poor decisions with my steering. And what I've learned about backing up a trailer is if you start backing up a trailer and it goes wrong, like you do something wrong, the best thing you can do is just start over. Don't try to correct it part of the way through. And so sometimes Nicole backing up a trailer kind of looks like this. Me, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward until I get my angle right. But as I do it more, I get better at it. And for me, like not all trailers are made the same. Some trailers are harder than others to do. And particularly like in the stupid yard tractor lawnmower thing, I had it like it takes just like a hair's turn and the thing's like meep. So I was talking to Tactical about that the other day. He's like, yeah, so the key there is make it so you never have to back that thing up. And I'm like, yeah, I do that too. Michael Sparks, you need to get your garlic. Yes, you do. If nothing else, get your elephant garlic started because that turns into a perennial in Tennessee. Off-grid Ping is in the house. You're doing it. You're going to be presenting at Self Reliance Festival, aren't you? Gorham Homestead. Get those tickets. It's life-changing. Dawn, we should talk about how your life has changed at some point. That would be fun. Yeah, short trailers are really hard. 1 head of garlic drizzled in olive oil, wrapped in tinfoil, baked at 375. Scoop out the garlic, turn it to paste, spear it on steak. I used to put it on crusty bread when I ate bread. It's really good. Short buses are harder. Thanks, Dean. Good evening, Chris. Am I going to see you at Self Reliance Festival, Chris? Do you want to do something there? Like, you used to do things there. We'd love to see you do something there. Anyway, yes, yard trailer is impossible. We use our zero turn for the trailer. Much easier. That's actually smart. There is a zero turn here now. It's not my zero turn. It's Tactical's zero turn. But anyway, I want to show you something. So we have this whole ecosystem, and I was talking with Letty, who helps with our communications. Like most of the memes you see that are going out talking about the Self Reliance Festival, calls for volunteers, like little shorts and things. She's made those and she gets them out on a regular schedule. And I'm like, I think people are having trouble visualizing how the workshops work because it used to be one workshop event and then maybe one after. And now, oh, Chris, good, you're coming. Awesome. Are you going to do anything? You want to show anything? I do have one person already doing a chainsaw mill, but I think your bucket truck was kind of fun that one time. But you tell me, Chris, you tell me what you're into. Anyway, wouldn't it be cool if we could just see how that lays out? And so I made a workshop page at the selfreliancefestival.com website so you could see it. And it starts, this is new. So we've been in talks with the Hand Hume Farm guys out of Ohio who do an awesome pig processing workshop. So it's, they show you how to dispatch, they show you how to butcher it, and they show you how to cure meats and not just bacon and ham, which is what I usually teach. They go beyond. So they go further into like different ways to use all of the pig. It's a 2-day workshop for $650. They're coming down, and that starts on Thursday, April 4th, and Friday, April 5th. And then on Friday, you can see we got a lot going on. We got pig processing, the Fight Like a Girl class with Sunny Puzikas. We have a few spots left for that. Homestead One Responder with Chuck Peoples, who is in the live stream. Then we also have, so the Fight Like a Girl and the Homestead Responder class all wrap up in time that you can take the second class if you want to. And it's the plant medicine basics where our person who's doing the herbal medicine presentation at Self Reliance Festival is doing a 2-hour workshop about how to integrate herbal remedies at home and the 4 ways to extract things from plants so you can use it in your home apothecary. I might have to figure out how to take that class, even though I'm coordinating the festival. Anyway, Those are all on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, we just have Self Reliance Festival. And then Monday, there are even more things going on. We've got Zero to Hero radio operator course. And we have the Wild Foods Around You, which is a 4-hour wild edible plant class from Carrie Brown. And of course, down here below that graphic, you can click to sign up for the classes. Some of these are put on through Self Reliance Festival. Some are other people from our ecosystem who are doing that independently. I actually need to get Mike Shelby's class up here. I see that it's not on here because there's also an area study class on the 5th. There's like everything to do on the 5th. He's bringing his own tent to put people in to do the area study class, which is pretty funny. So because I was like, yeah, you can do it, but I have every covered area full of classes right now on Friday. So anyway, those are all at selfreliancefestival.com. And I just love that graphic that Letty put together where it's like days of the week so I can see what's going on. And thank you, Facebook user, for putting that URL in there. So with that, like what questions do you guys have about the event? I'm pretty excited about the Hand Hume Farms guys coming. They are presenting at Self Reliance Festival as well. We've got Angry American coming, and I've got a really great permaculturist coming. And he's going to talk about the resilience. It's Alan Booker. If you look up Alan Booker, you'll see he teaches PDCs. He does all sorts of cool work in the permaculture space. And he's not that far from the Self Reliance Festival. He's been to a couple of them. And like 2 festivals ago, I was like, we need to have you speak. And then last festival, I forgot to ask him to speak. And then this time I was like, you need to speak. And he talked to me about a couple different things he could do. One of which is like developing the biodynamic genetics for your farm or wherever you live by saving seeds, right? So then he started talking to me about a talk he gives on how resilient is your kitchen. And as he got into it, I was like, wow, this is really cool. He's talking about 5 areas of your kitchen that you can assess for how resilient they are. And, that's anything from how it's organized to like, do you regenerate your herbs by growing them and have a process for working them into your food and all of that. And it is something that we don't talk. I've never heard anybody talk about this before all that much. And it's that once you transition into a homestead life, right, you end up needing to develop different culinary skills if you're going to use the things that you grow. So a from scratch living is different. And the way you organize a kitchen for from scratch cooking and preserving and, storing and all of those things versus what we do in typical Western society, it's very, very different. In fact, I ripped out the whole kitchen in my house because I've been here 17 years, right? I've over the years completely redone how the kitchen is so that it accommodates how we process and interface with our food. And it's a lot about preserving food can make a huge mess. So you want something you can clean fairly easily to the best of your ability. My one mistake in this kitchen is I should have put a floor drain in, but that ship has sailed. And also, you have to figure out if I'm processing and cooking food for the household, how do I make that happen so that the processing doesn't interfere with the food doesn't interfere with the processing. This is particularly important when you're doing things like curing meats or making cheese, that you don't want to like accidentally splash something on something else. So just how you organize all that's a totally different thing. Some people put in a separate canning kitchen. I actually do most of my canning outside in an outdoor kitchen that I've put, like we call it an outdoor kitchen. It's not like an official built-in outdoor kitchen, but it will be, right? It'll be one day I will get that all done. I do have a sink plumbed in out there, and I have a dishwasher that I put in the summer that's not there in the winter because I don't want it to crack because it freezes here. And that puts all the heat outside when I'm canning in the summer. And then I don't have to cool the inside of the house because I put heat into the inside of the house because I was canning, right? That's something to think about. Like the way I grow my tomatoes is on the south facing wall so the sun hits the plants and not my house, and then my house doesn't get as hot in the summer, and then in the winter the sun can hit my house. So there's lots of things to think about on that one. Chris says Carrie's walk around was really good last time, very informative. Yeah, think about that as a 4-hour class where he's going to go deeper into how to harvest, what to do with the plants, show you examples of the plants. Like all of that's going to be really, really cool. And we've got Beartron on the way to the ruckus, listening to you guys talk SRF. It's a good day, man. Hey, tell everybody out there at the ruckus hello from Nicole Sauce. I was trying to go, and it just hopefully next year I get to go to that. Now that I know in advance, it's easier for me to like grab hold of my schedule, even though I don't know when they're doing it next year. I just assume they're also going to do it next year. Yeah. Link is for stream, not to join. Oh, I sent the wrong link to Homestead Medical, who we totally could say hi to if I just knew how to run email properly, right? Chuck, you're such a patient guy. It's good because like he's had to interface with ADHD Nicole for a long time, and I'm just like, phew. But I guess he's kind of used to it by now because we've known each other a number of years. So I resent you the link. Strong Roots Resources is in the house. You know what? This is the teacher of the Wild Edible Workshop. How do I? That way? Oh, like that. That's who it is. Yeah, Chris, you better. Chris says he's coming. The question is he going to show us anything? Because he's got like all sorts of stuff he can show. The problem with Chris is he does too much. Like I see his stuff out on TikTok that he's put together, his videos of what he's doing, and he can do like anything. And then that becomes like, well, what do I do? Right. So yeah, get your tickets now for all the workshops, especially mine from Chuck, coming to us from his kitchen space.
What's going on?
Is that the kitchen or your office?
No, it's office storage. We've got junk in here. Yeah. I've been packing orders all evening.
Matt, Self Reliance Festival, SRF, is an event we do April 6th and 7th. And all of the information is at selfreliancefestival.com. Digger, hey. Oh, also, you're so good with the links. John Palmer is in the house. Get your class tickets, bring in my best to the group. That's right. That's what Carrie does. So I want to talk about camping. A lot of festivals allow RV camping, and that's because they have a lot more land than we do for the festival. And so we just do rustic camping, like tent camping, hammock camping. People come in and camp with each other. There's a awesome social experience around the campfire at night in the camping area. And there are a few like staff campers on site. And then Big Daddy's is where we park our cars. And in the past, we've said you just put your RV at Big Daddy's for free. Well, we talked to Big Daddy's and he was like, I would actually like to have a little bit of money for the campers. So by a little bit of money, we don't mean like $50 or anything, right? I actually have to confirm with him what it'll be. But if you want to RV park at Big Daddy's, I think what he wants is, just a fee for that. Now, parking free with your pass. So we'll update you on that. But I've already put out in one email to people who already have tickets. Like if you're going to RV and want to RV at Big Daddy's, we need to have a way to know that you're going to do that so we can, have an idea where you'll be. But there's also a couple of great RV campsites nearby. And then you can Anarchy Park where that hotel used to be that they ripped down. It's like a 1/10 of a mile away. I mean, you didn't hear it here, but there you go. Actually, I would rather be there than Big Daddy's personally. What were you going to say, Chuck?
Yeah, I said allowed versus able.
Yeah. Jim says, I have to admit I was skeptical when the wife wanted to go last year. Pleasantly surprised and looking forward to April. I'm really curious why people are skeptical. Any insight on that, Chuck?
I've had people who've asked me and they've seen in the past that they didn't want to go. And I've just told them, I said, it is life-changing. And it changed my life. From the first SRF to me presenting at the second one to now I'm a business owner. And it's not even just that. It's the incredible network and friendships that I have all over the place, which has tremendously helped my business. The orders I was packing this evening, I have one order from somebody who met at SRF, who's taken one of my workshop classes, and it was his fourth order from me. Every order I packed this evening was somebody somehow connected in the SRF network. And it's, it's going to be life changing, but it's the friendships. I mean, I know several people who I've talked to face, that are in this chat right now. Chris Watkins and I talk several times a week. So, it will change your life. You're going to meet people that will affect you for the rest of your life, and that will will make your life better.
Yeah, you get out of it what you put into it, but I think one of the biggest challenges I have when I'm talking about Self Reliance Festival, Chuck, is that I know the biggest benefit has nothing to do with the workshops, nothing to do with the speakers or presentations, nothing to do with what the vendors are selling, although all of that is part of what makes it fun. And it has 120% to do with the people.
Absolutely.
And there is something amazing about interacting with people who are like-minded, by which I don't mean religiously, politically, or anything of that nature. They're the kind of people who get stuff done. That's it. Or they are people who wish they were the kind of people who get stuff done, who go there and see other people who get stuff done, and it motivates them to become a better them. And I think that's something that's just hard to explain.
Well, and it's also, if you start a business, SRF will keep you accountable. My business literally started by me making a comment to John Willis and him telling me, "Oh, you won't do it," and it pissed me off, so I did it. And now I feel like SRF, I'm held accountable by the people there and the peers that I look up to. You, John, Tim, Tag. I mean, everybody that has helped me tremendously there. That I want to bring something bigger and better every time, and every day I think about that I want to grow my business and show you all, that I am working hard, that I'm working at it every day to make it bigger and better and be as self-sustainable as possible.
Yeah. You're also a smaller man than when I met you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. That's the other side effect, is like John's telling us all to exercise and eat right. And then we've had like Dr. Barry come in and tell us to eat right. And a lot of us have been shrinking.
That's one of the biggest things of all the SRFs. I actually had Dr. Barry came by my booth, and I got one-on-one with him for over an hour, just talking to him and explaining to him my past medical history and stuff. And that really changed. And that was free. That was just by simple conversation. And you have those all the time. I got to sit down when Bear was there last time. We sat out at the picnic table out front by the front door into the shop and talked for 2 hours. Dean Dupree, I love seeing him every time. He inspires me. Just his story alone. It's just everybody that you see, you can't help but be inspired and look at everybody who has grown. Dawn, Evan with Radio Made Easy, Dawn's home. I mean, all these people just goes over and over and over. Now, Curie with her business and stuff, all of them are just doing amazing things. And if that doesn't inspire you to do better, I don't know what else will.
Yeah. So here's what Jim says. It's like anything else you aren't familiar with and you don't know what to expect. I'm retired law enforcement, and I had dealt with a few sovereign citizens and some prepper types in South Mississippi. Had to realize that self-reliance is different. Yeah, self-reliance equals homesteader prepper network accountability meeting. That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It's also a connection meeting because I have this weird, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I had my hair in a bun on top of my head all day, Chuck, so now it's all weird. And on video, I can see it. Anyway, that networking piece is important because the connection sessions that we do to bring people together with people like them are why there are pods popping up all over the country, right? Of people who band together. Like Ohio's just gotten a new member that's going to be pretty rad for Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, Joel's another one of my mentors, and Bob Lester. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have never met any of these people if it wasn't for SRF. And I literally talk to Bob almost every day. And that's, if you don't know who Bob Lester is, just being able to have a phone conversation with him and get free business advice is amazing. John,
Yeah.
Amanda, you, I mean, it's just, I'm pumped every single time. And my yearly schedule is scheduled around SRF, the two SRFs each time.
Yeah, you were even flexible enough to move it when I realized we had accidentally scheduled on Easter and I had to move the date. That was funny because no fewer than 10 people approved the dates for 2024. And none of us, like, we all looked at calendars and it didn't have like anything that said Easter Sunday on it. Like, I don't know how we did that, but yeah. That Scanes girl says that kind of motivation works. My mom told me for over 3 years I'd never finished nursing school. Yeah. So when I started 75 Hard, John's like, you won't get it done. And I'm like, well, I've already talked about it on my podcast, so now I have to.
Right.
Like, I would have had to have been really sick to not get that done. So, yeah.
That's I don't know if you want to call it a book. It's more of a reference manual that I'm still working on. I've just ran into some challenges of getting something published is a lot more difficult than I realize. And the steps that you go through, but I'd mentioned on one of John's, I'd sat down, one of his podcasts that we recorded, and that's holding me. And now I still have people almost weekly. When's your reference manual coming out? When's your manual coming out? And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to make sure I have the capital to put enough coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. That's like me and my taxes right now. My sister texts me every couple days. How far along are you? I have 1 hour left on this document. I'll probably do it tonight after this live stream. But yeah, it's been, the other morning I woke up at 3:30 and John Willis's voice was in my head when I woke up. Because I woke up and couldn't fall back asleep. It was like clear out. And I was like, well, I can either like doink around and I'll eventually fall back asleep at like 5 and then I'll sleep till 8. Or I can get my butt up and just start doing something. And that like morning until about 10 a.m., I got more done than I usually get done in a day. So
when I wake up in the morning, I hear that, and I've been trying to go out, and I've been rucking in the morning and walking my dog. And
yeah,
when I wake up, I'm like, no, I'm going to stay in bed. I literally hear John's voice, quit being a pussy. I literally do. And that's just, I just get up out of bed right then and there instead of laying
you're
there.
like, John, get out of my head.
I know.
Yeah, I was really tempted to like post a video the other day because I'm up an hour before John today. I'm gonna kick his ass, and I was like, what I'm gonna do is work on this spreadsheet. Yeah, Chuck, try talking to Angry American. He could probably help you out on publishing. Yep. You know what, Chuck? I don't know if you know this, but Mama Sauce and I have self-published several books on Amazon.
I have noticed, and I have a note to myself that I need to talk to you about that.
Yeah. So Mama Sauce will not be here at SRF, I don't think. But if you made it to my spring workshop, she will be there. So that is the end of April.
SRF's not the same without Mama Sauce.
I know. There's stuff going on though. So she was like about to book a ticket, and she said, I just have a sense that if I book a ticket, I won't be able to come. And I'm like, well, then listen to your gut and don't book that ticket, and hopefully we'll see you in October. So she didn't. And as it turned out, schedules are such with what's going on there that she was not going to make it. So she was right.
She needs to be there.
Yeah. Chris Watkins says, every time the alarm goes off, I hear John Willis. Chris, I need an arborist here to trim trees. And you're too far away, I think. Do you know anybody out here? If you want to come here, come here. But do you know anybody? Anyway, I've got really tall trees. I don't want to cut them down. I want to trim them, and I want to do it in such a way that we don't drop branches on my solar array.
Well, Chris, I know you asked him earlier, but Chris does need to do something at SRF. Just chainsaw handling 101. I mean, if you haven't,
yeah, that would be great.
I'm hoping, kind of bugging him and John both. We need to do another chainsaw class, because that was one of the most fun classes I've taken, just that day long. But you learn so much from him and how easy, and it just sickens me. Scully and I were sitting there laughing half the time going, yeah, he's telling us things that we shouldn't do. And I've done that many times, and I'm lucky to still have both legs. And
Yeah.
just Chris
You
is
mean
amazing.
like have your chaps in the car and then use the chainsaw anyway? Yeah. I don't even have chainsaw chaps, but I will admit I have not used a chainsaw in, well, I guess I used one at Spirit Goes last year. So, but it was like a little electric one, but it'll still rip you up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Michael liked that chainsaw class too.
There's another person at SRF where you can get free financial advice. Go talk to Mike Sparks about that.
Yep.
He's a wealth of information.
That was a good pun. Okay, I have a question for medical guy. You know those not butterfly closures, but they're like the straight ones that you use. That says, what are those called?
Steri strips.
Steri strips. If I needed to buy some of those, would you be a good source? Because
yes, I'll help you.
An incident happened 2 days ago in my house, causing me to throw my entire medical kit away.
I will. I'll send you down some Steri strips. Besides, I'd
like to talk to you maybe about an order of some. I need to talk about because my whole. I'm actually completely without a medical kit right now, except for my oh shit kit.
Well, you absolutely need one. I need to overnight one to you because Tactical's there. I mean, that's my guaranteed patient every SRF.
I know. I mean, I still have the stitching thing. I can stitch him. It won't be pretty, but I can stitch him in a He's looking in my door right now.
I'll get you a skin stapler. It's easier, quicker, and it'll accomplish 90% of the same things that sutures will.
Yeah. I had this like old plastic Band-Aid case that goes in a woman's purse, and I had it full of Steri strips. And what happened is I have an elderly cat. And he's developed a kidney problem, and he decided that was a really good litter box. And I was like, I'm not even going to try to wash any of this stuff. I'm just like, nope. Yeah.
I'll get you squared away.
So that got ammonia'd up pretty good. So yeah, I cussed at him, and luckily I have a good number of tourniquets around. So that was I have more in storage. Whoo! So Michael says, I got some nasty photos of chainsaw accidents from a friend. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Poor kitty. I know the problem is like when you commit to a pet animal, when they get old, things happen. And yeah. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, I've got a black lab. She's 3.5 now.
She's spry yet.
Oh yeah.
This guy he's a 17, almost 18-year-old cat.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. So, Dean says just staple. You're right. We should totally have a stapler here. I use Steri strips on the infamous head wound.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with everything you need. I'll send you. I'll for SRF. I'll bring you some of the zip stitches. You'll like those. It's like a Steri strip with.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking like I was going to put an order in, and then I was like, well, maybe I should give my money to Chuck because he's in the network, and then you jumped on, and I was like, well, I realized I needed to speak to you anyway because I can go to Walgreens, of course, and get a couple Steri strips, but you've seen Tactical's injuries.
Yeah, call me and we'll get you set up.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Skeins Girl says I could use a chainsaw class. So Skeins Girl, I'm going to tell you my experience with chainsaws. When I lived in Oregon, I had a chainsaw. It was a Husqvarna. It actually moved here with me. It is also dead. I also killed the Husqvarna eventually. And I used it to like cut down, trees that were maybe this big around. So this is like a 4-inch, 3 to 4 inch size thing. I wasn't doing anything crazy, and then I'd log them up, and we'd use them in the fire pit in my backyard. A lot of them were holly trees because we had a lot of holly, and that's an annoying tree to cut down just because of the spikes. And before I used the chainsaw, I had a friend come over and show me how to do it safely. I had no idea that chainsaw chaps existed at that time. So, used it for years, moved here, and the man who was with me for many years didn't want me touching a chainsaw. He considered it his manly duty to do the chainsaw work. And I was like, that's fine, mommy, whatever. So I didn't touch a chainsaw then for a long time. And then I got a pole saw that cuts up, so you can trim trees, and had somebody else show me how to do that. But I was still like, okay, I haven't used a chainsaw in years, and it's time for me to use a chainsaw again. And so before I used the chainsaw again, I just went through a whole thing being shown by somebody with chaps how to do it in safe ways. So like if there was another chainsaw class at SOE, I would probably come to that if I could, to get even more safety on that, because it's not something that's fun to think about, like messing it up. But I think you can't be too careful, and then it's good to find somebody to show you in person who can guide you through. Wow. And that way, like, you don't want to just kind of go out with your chainsaw and go Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like over your head. That's how you chainsaw your head, is overhead cutting. But yeah, definitely worth doing if you see the opportunity.
Yeah, I would definitely, if you see Chris giving a class anywhere, make that a priority to take, because I've used in the fire service and stuff, I used chainsaws for years, and I learned a ton of information on that class and felt pretty stupid about all the stuff I've been doing wrong for a number of years.
Yeah.
I bought 2 chainsaws, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, and before I even bought them, I'm texting Chris going, all right, is this the right saw? Do I need this? What, just to get his advice, because whatever he tells me, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And Chris says everyone can always use a chainsaw class just to brush up on techniques. Chaps are a must. You just never know. And the funny thing is, every time I have like hardcore chainsawing now, I hire it out, because people who do it for a living are really good at it.
Yeah.
And so the chainsaw I use now is a Ryobi rechargeable battery operated chainsaw. And if what I need to do that chainsaw can't handle, I'm looking to pay somebody to do the chainsaw work. That's kind of where we've ended up here. My redneck neighbors actually go in with the gas chainsaws and buck stuff up, but I'm like, I don't, at this point, I don't need to. I'm perfectly happy outsourcing that, and maybe that doesn't sound very self-reliant, but it's actually me making a priority choice. So I'm not as badass as you guys think I am. I just inherited my dad's Husqvarna with no safety. My dad wouldn't let me use it. I've been cutting down trees since I was 6. The first one with a hatchet. Nice. So anyway. Okay, well, what are you most excited about for SRF, Chuck?
See everybody, networking. I'm excited to meet Chris. Angry American.
Chris Weatherman.
Yeah. He's. I've spoke with him offline a couple of times, and I think I'm going to go on his podcast.
Oh, sweet.
Trying to work something out now. Yeah. But yeah, just everybody else, and seeing the normal speakers, seeing the normal crew. But I was kind of mad with the pig processing thing. I was like, man, I got to teach one of those days. And then the herbal medicine class, which is going to be right after mine on Friday. I'm actually excited about that. So yeah, I mean, it's just seeing all the speakers, everything that it has about, and then just seeing it, like some of the new vendors, but seeing the ones that have always been there. I mean, it's always about the people. I mean, I hate it because I miss a lot of the speakers I want to see, but you just end up in conversations and have the opportunity to talk with people. It's just the networking. I really feel like it's one of the most important things that SRF has to offer.
One of the somebody asked me yesterday on an interview, if you want to build your homestead or become an entrepreneur, where do you start? And I said, you invest in yourself and you invest in your relationships. Those are the 2 places to start. And by which I mean develop real trusting relationships with people where you actually have their phone number and can pick up the phone and call. Like today I got a text from Sean Mills. He said, "Can I call you? I need to clarify something." And I called it, like we talked, and I was like, "Well, yes, but actually you could just call me without asking me if you can call me." And I know what he's really asking is now a good time. I'm like,
Right.
I just don't answer the phone when it's not a good time. Like, I'm old school, man. But when you invest in yourself through learning and trying new things and personal development and increasing your fitness and all of that, taking ownership for your health, getting your finances in order, that's all key to being successful. And then when you invest in your relationships, then when you need to know something, you have somebody you can ask. Like, we all know Chris Watkins. We know Chris Watkins gives a badass chainsaw class. You can ask him a question about chainsawing, or you could go to a class when he gives a class. I know Chuck. That's why I asked Chuck about the steri strips, because I realized that is a big hole in my preps right now. So the more people like that, the better. And then when you have something to celebrate, they celebrate with you. And when you have a hard time, they help you out. And it's amazing how much that community and that fellowship is so important to all of our success.
Well, I mean, I can, just as you were talking about that, of just people you could call about certain things. I was the whole time thinking all the lists of different people, if you have firearms questions, you can call somebody tactical response. I mean, I was just sitting here, I don't care what it is, whether it be you need a mechanic, a plumber, an electrician, whatever, an oral surgeon, an attorney, wealth investment, all those things. There's somebody in the network that you would have an opportunity to befriend and ask their advice on things, and they are more than willing to help you.
Yeah.
It's just how much my life has changed since the first SRF to now is just, it still blows me away, because I'm a completely different person. My network of people is completely different. And I was thinking last SRF, anywhere, and also where I've been traveling around doing classes, anywhere I travel, pretty much all from the Midwest east, there's somebody in every state I know, and several people in states that if I had an issue while traveling, I know I could call them and I could get help.
Yeah, we talk about underground networks, and I've got this logo on my shirt, right? Right. Oh, you can't see it because my hair is so freaking long. This shirt. You know who makes this shirt, right?
Yeah, this is my logo. Yeah.
So I was giving a presentation in another state on underground networking. And one of the things that happens with underground networks is that certain symbols become a way that the person's in that network, right? And wearing an SOE shirt, there's a certain amount of, like, I've had people walk up to me in stores and be like, "Is that an SOE shirt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they do great stuff." Like they're talking about that. And I said, well, as part of this presentation, I said, okay, I'm not going to say the person's name, but we'll call him Doug. Doug, where do you live? And he said where he lived. And I said, well, I'm driving through your state on my way home. If I needed to, could I sleep in your guest room or on your couch or something? And he's like, yeah. I was like, Doug, when did you meet me? Today. Right. But I'm wearing the SOE shirt.
Right,
And he was wearing an SOE shirt. And it was just like, it's just something that happens naturally. You don't go in and say, like, our symbol shall be a purple kazoo, because there's always a purple kazoo by my desk, except for when it's in my boot, because this is my tactical kazoo. But the symbols just happen over time, and you figure it out.
Well,
and then that's cool.
I had somebody contact me the other day, and they said, "Hey, you know all that prepping stuff, and I was reading on this EMP shield thing. Do you know anything about it?" I said, "Well, I own several, and if you'd like to, I could give you the phone number for one of the owners. Maybe he could explain something to you." And he went, and he just looked at me. He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "I'm dead serious. I could tell you. I could put you in touch with salesmen. I could put you in touch with one of the owners." And it's just that network. And they're like, "Well, how do you know them?" And I said, "Well, all that prepping stuff I know about. These classes I go and teach. That's where you meet these people." And they started, I started telling them and everything. And they said they were going to look at SRF and they were going to try to come down. They got real interested and looked at the website, and then called me a couple of days later and were asking me all kinds of questions about it. So, just anybody with things like that, when you pass it on, you'd be surprised the interest you can pique in them, to be part of it and bring them into the fold, so to speak.
Yep. So Warlike says, part of why I'm conflicted with localized group versus a network across the country. Nice to have folks just down the road, but spread out. If SHTF is nice to be able to go somewhere else. Here's what I think. Why not both?
Yeah.
You need to have a strong community around you, whether or not SHTF, because you might as well know your neighbors, and then you can work together in times of crisis. Like our last time we really had to work hard together was when the tornadoes hit in 2020. And comms went down. And yeah, the 2020 thing too, like that whole thing they did where they shut down the economy. We worked together on that too. But it was just like in action. We gotta take action. We gotta figure out what we're doing to keep our food from spoiling, because we had no power. We had no idea what had gone on in the world. I finally figured out what happened in the world. We figured out we could listen to the radio and see what was happening. And I was like, like none of that matters right now because the tornado did not hit us. So what we need to do is here. And then we started reaching out to neighbors and saying, like, do you need us to come down and like cool down your fridge with a generator? Or like, are you guys all okay? Any medical needs? And then we stayed the F out of where the tornadoes had hit, except for Nighthawk went in with a chainsaw to help clean up. So
when we had the cell phone issue a week ago or whatever it was, I was trying to contact people, sending messages, hey, around our network, just to make sure everybody was okay. And, and I consider that, even though they may be several hours away from me, they're still a neighbor. If they said help or send it out, I'm going to be on my way, because those people are important enough in my life and what they've done for me. I'm going to obviously return the favor at a drop of a hat. Like you said, it is neighbors helping neighbors, but it's extended neighbors. And speaking of neighbors, there's my SRF vendor neighbor, Homestead Twins.
Yeah, Homestead Twins. Good to see you on the feed. They're not able to make this one.
Oh, they didn't tell me that.
Yeah, but they're coming. They're coming. I think they're coming in the fall. But yeah, also if you need stuff like printed die cut stickers, that's a good place to go.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to talk to them about some things.
Just saying, because I got another order I need to put in with them soon too. Jim says, has anybody considered compiling a written networking contact sheet for attendees that agree to have their information distributed? Could be provided at the end or emailed shortly after. So at the information booth, there is a way, there's like a bulletin board where you connect with people. And then also, this has actually been digitized where people voluntarily put themselves on the map if they want to. And you can see that all over the country, there are people. There's even people in the middle of the Gulf. So you don't have to put your actual address, is what I'm saying, if you don't want to. But, you can see, oh, there's 6 people here. And who is this? And then it pops. There's this Dakota Wilson Lobato. Yeah. Weapon space grappling, mead making, blacksmithing. He's done blacksmithing demos at SRF like multiple times. Last time he showed his dogs. That's how you reach him. And, you can email him. It's his contact information. Who's this? Tactical response. Oh, yeah. Hey, you might want to check that out. Special operations equipment. Odd that those are all near there. But look, if I'm heading out to Waverly, there's Melissa and DJ. Here's 2 people. Joe T. Looking to learn about livestock care, swales, rebuilding soil, butchering, able to DIY, barter trade food. So there's all this stuff that you can do just connecting there. You have to be willing to put yourself on the map, though. But we also have a hard copy written way to put cards out and that sort of thing. So that map, Michael Smarks was asking, it's selfreliancefestival.com, top navigation map. Michael has not put himself on the map yet, I'm guessing.
I bet he's getting
ready. You're going to know
to.
where to get your AMSOIL soon.
Yeah, I bet he's getting ready to.
Yeah. So that was put together because the community asked for it. So a lot of what we've developed is because the community asked for it. That's 100%. I would not have been like, hey, let's make a registry. but people asked for it, and they asked for it on our Telegram group, and then Dawn Sutton built that. She did not charge money for that. She just built it. So next
Dawn
time you
is
see Dawn Sutton, buy her
thank
a
her.
beer. Buy her a beer.
Well, and it's participating in things like this. It's your podcast and your lives that you do. What, every day of the week now? You have something I think comes up 5 days a week. It's John's live every single night. Getting on that will actually put you in touch. And because of John's live from a few years ago, there's a core group of us. There's 5 of us in a group chat that we literally communicate every day, all day long, and exchange information and stuff. And you meet people like that, and we're spread out all around the country. I mean, Don Stinson's up there in Arctic land in Wisconsin, and Jeremy Kirby, Jose Rivera's in Florida. Everybody's just kind of spread out, and we communicate literally all day long and share ideas. And it's just knowing all the people. I mean, I just keep seeing all the comments scrolling through, and all the people that I've met face to face and that are good people, Glenn and Carrie, and they're with their new business. I'm excited for them. I was actually looking at the website today. I've got to order some stuff, and none of it is good for me. Well, some of it is, but a lot of the stuff that I want wouldn't be good for me. But I know she has keto friendly stuff too.
Yeah, I have to be careful about that too. It's not allowed in my house, or I'll eat it.
I know that's a problem. If I order, I guarantee I'll eat it.
Yeah.
And I know
you don't have a tactical next door to you who is like the most disciplined person I know about food. So I give him all my junk food, and I'll be like, okay, my dad sent me chocolates for Valentine's Day. So I got this like little heart of Ferrero Rocher, and it's full of, candies. And I was like, tactical, you need to take this down to your house and put it in your fridge. He's like, okay. Takes it down. And so like the other day, I'm like, I want 2 chocolates. I don't care which ones, but I want it out of that heart-shaped one. And he brings them up for me. And I'm like, in this way, I don't eat all the chocolates in one sitting.
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured it out. I think I figured it out because I like top ramen too, which is really bad for me.
Yeah.
And so I figured out, like, there was a time where I would have just eaten, like, I can keep top ramen in my house now, but I was there when I was going through my initial walk into the ketogenic lifestyle. Like, all carbs had to be out of my house 100%. Like, it could not be in here, because what you realize is that you are addicted to carbs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And if they're there, it's harder to resist. And so if you just get everything out and you live like I do, which is in the middle of nowhere, you can't. And so I was joking with Nighthawk. I'm like, I need to have you take my top ramen up to your house, please. Because then I have to like take the step to ask for it. I was like, actually, that's a really good idea. Because I just gave him all my ramen at that point. And that's when I started realizing, when I built things back into my life, like I quit drinking for a long time, and I allow myself now to drink a cocktail a couple times a week. I can have alcohol in the house all day long. It doesn't bother me. But man, the chocolate.
Yeah, mine is. I love a good bourbon, and I really like rum, but it doesn't. Those aren't the healthiest. So I've kind of had to switch to clear liquor, and I don't drink nearly as much as I used to when I was younger. I also can't recover as quickly as I used to. So as I've aged, so that's another big reason.
Well, yeah, quit completely for like a year, and then have a drink, and you're like, woohoo!
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I quit for, like a year and a half, and yeah, it'll go to your head real quick.
So, Kiri, I'm so glad to hear you're stoked about Hollow Roast Coffee. We will be back again. Jennifer Hudson will be in the booth again, and I don't even know how much coffee I need to bring. I'm like tempted just to bring my commercial grinder, except we probably need it here while I'm gone. But with all of the workshops, it's like we start making coffee Thursday and we don't stop.
No, and that's also, Carrie says, one of her favorite parts. It's also one of my favorite parts, is because I get to drink it. I don't have to ration it where I am. So I was sitting down yesterday, and I was like, man, I got to put a big order in with the call. I'm tired of, because if I run out of your coffee and I start drinking something else, man, I tell you what, it just doesn't sit right on my stomach. Yours has zero like the acidity and stuff, I have no problem. I could drink your coffee literally all day long, which I do at SRF, and no issues whatsoever. Nothing. I mean, it's literally, she's right. It's the best coffee that you can get.
That's the air roaster, man. It's designed, the way it's roasted is designed to keep it from being acid. I actually have had to cut back on coffee because I was drinking it all day because I have unlimited access. and I started having heart palpitations. And I was like, maybe if I had less caffeine, I wouldn't have the heart palpitations. And sure enough, they went away. So yeah, so now it's like I had 3 cups today, but usually I keep it to 2 cups a day, unless there's I don't know. I just felt like an extra cup this afternoon. Probably means I'll be up. I'll be up at 3:30 in the morning again, which is not all bad. So Carrie says she has lots of keto and carnivore stuff to share with you.
I know she does. I was looking. I've got to get in touch with her and ask about some things to keep my sugar levels low and stuff. But I'm just looking forward to seeing them. It's just amazing what they've done over the last year, and that's inspiring in itself.
Yep, I'm looking forward to seeing them too. So I have you heard about Busderma, the Busderma I made?
No.
So Busderma is a way of curing beef. That it's a salt-based cure.
Right.
And it's kind of like pastrami meets biltong.
Is that South American?
It is Turkish? Hungarian. No, it's Hungarian. It's Hungarian. And Spirko made some and let me taste it in October and then sent me the TikTok video that showed him how to make it. And then I did a bunch. And then I went down a large rabbit hole on Busderma. And when we processed cows, I was like, I want the whole eye of round just as one eye of round, and I'm going to Busderma the crap out of that thing. And so I made it, and it turned out phenomenal. So I made 3 Busdermas basically, and we've eaten one here in the last 2 weeks, just, because when we snack, that's what we snack on is meats usually. And I have one for SRF that I'll slice up before SRF so everybody can taste it. And then I have one for my spring workshop so everybody can taste it. And then I'll make more Busderma after my spring workshop. But Kiri's like, I want to taste that. And I'm like, I have to make sure to put some aside for her. Just.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You might have to bring a little extra. I'm going
to bring what I can bring, man, But it is good. Mr. Landfill says, love Busderma. Yeah, it is delicious. So it's, one of the fun things about this lifestyle is that you learn how to make things that you can't even buy, right? And learning how to cure meats, which is why that butchering class is so cool. Like,
oh yeah.
I wish I could take it too, because there's going to be all sorts of stuff in that class that I don't get to learn because I'm going to be working the event. But maybe I'll get to take one of their classes another place when I'm not doing Self Reliance Festival. But adding those different types of things to your lifestyle gives you access to stuff you can't even buy at the store. Like you can't just go to Kroger's and say, I want Busderma. Not a thing.
No, so. And it's you also learn the importance of making your own food, growing your own food, raising your own beef and pork and poultry, all those things. That I've learned that over the years, just all the different stuff. Plus, just eating healthy. You talk to Ken Berry. Tell me that won't. All those things are great. It's just the class, the workshop that I'm doing on Friday. Still to this day, I don't think anybody is teaching what I'm teaching. And then, I also do a live tissue lab at Bob. I've got one coming up right after Self Reliance Festival, the weekend after Self Reliance. We're doing a live tissue lab at Bob Lester's again. So it's you won't find that, and all those things that I'm doing now were made possible because of SRF. Just seeing like, well, yeah, if they can do this with this, I can do this with that, and that's what I did. My business, I found a hole. What do you do after you stop the bleed? What are you going to do? Everybody talks about the end of the world. Nobody's talking about what are you going to do for medical? There's not going to be a hospital. Don't count on you're going to have some doctor living next door, and don't count on the doctor's going to have a clue what to do outside of a hospital environment.
Well, I mean, Angry American talked about it in his books.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
so why those books are good.
Yeah.
And I am not a dystopian fiction like person necessarily, but you know what I am is I am a good plot person. Like if it's a good story, and he writes great stories,
Well,
what it does is bring to life what it would look like, and his assessments, like about what people have to do with what they have are very astute in
his
those books.
research, you could tell when, and I've read them all except this last one. I've just started on audiobook. Um, all of them are research heavy. You could tell his medical stuff is spot on. I was very surprised because most of the time I'll hear stuff with medical stuff like, no, that's not even close. That's not what's going to happen. But he's done a lot of research. Plus, he's full of a lot of knowledge, plain and
Yeah.
simple. And it's they're almost like a handbook for what to prepare for. You listen to those. That's kind of a handbook and a reference manual in itself.
Well, and how do we absorb information? Story. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it looks like we're coming up on an hour here. So thanks for hopping on with me today,
Sure.
Chuck. And tell
Anytime.
people about your stuff before we get off.
I've got a business called Homestead Medical. It's homesteadmedical.us. I've got purpose-built medical kits, long-term care medical kits, and I've got fill kits for most of John Willis's special operations equipments. Med bags that he makes. If you want stuff to actually put in it after you buy it, then I've got the fill kits for it. I teach a variety of different medical classes. You can see them on my website or contact me at chuck@homesteadmedical.us. And I'll be doing a workshop Friday before SRF. It's a day-long Homestead Medical level responder 1, and we're going to talk from everything from patient assessment to teaching you you're going to be lancing things, simulation things of boils and cysts and wound closures, and how to set fractures and do all those good things, how to make casts out of duct tape and some gauze and a few other things, how to improvise medical stuff when you don't have conventional medical care.
And remember, guys, you don't have enough gauze.
Nope, you do not have enough gauze, I promise you.
All right. Well, I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast. Definitely hop in and get your tickets for Self Reliance Festival. Check out the workshops. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in just 4 weeks. And I almost forgot, we still need volunteers to help with SRF. So you don't even have to buy your ticket if you're a volunteer. If you want to volunteer for Self Reliance Festival, go to selfreliancefestival.com, click on the contact form, and those emails will come to me, and I will send them to Dawn, who is our volunteer coordinator. And we're in matching shirts today, apparently. So she's great at that. We are putting together the volunteer list at this point. Anything from helping with setup to telling people where to park, sitting at registration. Like there's all sorts of different jobs that volunteers help us get done. Anyway, we will see you there, guys. And don't forget to get your coffee at Hollow Roast. Anyway, no, get your tickets to Self Reliance Festival. That's what we're here for. Make it a great week.